There's a kind of strength that doesn't roar. It doesn't shout for attention or demand recognition. It doesn't need to. It's the quiet, unshakable presence of someone who doesn't need to prove anything, because they already know who they are. That strength is born in silence. The world tells you to speak louder, to fight for space, to constantly express yourself. But the truth is, the most powerful men in history didn't rule through noise. They ruled through stillness. Before we go deeper, if you're someone who's tired of the chaos, the distraction, and the noise, if you're searching for clarity, discipline, and purpose, subscribe to this channel right now, because here we're not chasing motivation. We're building mastery, the kind of power that comes from knowing yourself and commanding your mind, even when the world is screaming around you. Now let me tell you something that no one else will. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is energy, compressed, contained, refined. The modern world has made you fear it. We fill every second with podcasts, music, conversations, notifications. We have forgotten how to be still. But silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of power. And those who learn to use it command every room they enter. Think about it. When someone walks into a space and speaks immediately, we listen for a moment. But when someone enters and says nothing, when they stand still, calm, unreadable, we can't look away. That's presence, that's control. And that control is built in the hours when no one is watching. It's born in solitude, in patience, in the discipline to sit in the quiet until you can hear your own mind again. Every great man understood this. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled an empire, wrote his deepest thoughts alone at night, in silence. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest samurai in history, spent his final years in a cave in quiet meditation, writing about mastery. Steve Jobs would walk alone in silence before making every major decision. They all understood the same truth. Noise destroys clarity. Silence sharpens it. But silence is not easy. It's uncomfortable. It's raw. Because in silence, you can't hide from yourself. You meet your fears, your insecurities, your guilt. You hear the voice you've been avoiding. That's why most people run from it. They drown it with distractions, with constant stimulation, with meaningless noise. But here's the paradox, and the more you run from silence, the further you run from your power. When was the last time you sat in total silence? No phone, no music, no conversation. For 10 minutes. Most people can't do it. Not because it's hard physically, but because it's unbearable mentally. But that's exactly where your strength lies. In the ability to be still while others panic, to think clearly when others react, to hear your intuition when others drown it out. There's a story about a young man who was mentored by a master swordsman. The student asked, "Oh, master, what's the secret to winning every battle?" The old man said nothing. He sat down, closed his eyes, and remained silent for minutes that felt like hours. Finally, he opened his eyes and said, "When you can stay silent longer than your fear can speak, you will never lose again." That's the truth of life. Silence is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength, because it means you've mastered the hardest thing in the world, yourself. Modern science is finally catching up to what ancient warriors already knew. Neuroscientists have discovered that during moments of silence, the brain regenerates neurons and strengthens the pathways responsible for creativity and decision-making. 2 minutes of silence reduces stress more effectively than soothing music. 20 minutes of silence can lower cortisol levels, heal your nervous system, and improve focus better than any productivity hack. But the benefits go beyond biology. Silence trains your mind to separate signal from noise. It helps you distinguish between what truly matters and what doesn't. It teaches you patience, restraint, precision, the qualities that make great men. Let's talk about power. In negotiations, silence is lethal. A man who can hold eye contact and say nothing exerts more influence than one who fills the space with words. People reveal their fears, their desires, their secrets, just to escape the discomfort of your silence. That's not manipulation, it's mastery, because silence forces truth to rise to the surface. The same is true in leadership. The greatest leaders don't control others with constant talking. They create gravity through their calm. Their stillness commands attention. Their silence gives weight to their words. When they speak, people listen, not because of volume, but because of presence. But this power isn't just for boardrooms or battles, it's for everyday life. When you practice silence, you begin to see how much of what people say doesn't matter. How much noise is just insecurity disguised as confidence. When you stop needing to respond to everything, you gain control over your energy. You conserve your focus for what truly moves you forward. There's a reason why monks, samurai, and philosophers all trained in silence. It wasn't superstition, it was strategy. Because silence doesn't just calm the mind, it transforms it. It clears the fog of overthinking and reconnects you with instinct. It aligns you with truth. And yet most men today have lost this weapon. They mistake constant activity for progress. They measure their worth by how much they produce, how loud they are, how visible they become. But true power isn't loud, it's steady. It is the calm confidence of a man who doesn't need to be seen to know his value. Try this. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, sit in silence for 5 minutes. Just breathe. Don't try to think of anything. Don't force clarity. Just listen. At first, your mind will rebel. It will scream to fill the space with something. Music, conversation, motion. Ignore it. Beneath that chaos is a voice you haven't heard in a long time, your own. And when you finally hear it, it will tell you what to do next. There's a story of a CEO who was overwhelmed by decisions. Everyone around him demanded answers. One day, he turned off his phone, locked himself in his office, and sat in silence. Hours passed. He said later that for the first time in years, he could hear himself think. When he emerged, he made 3 changes that transformed his company and his life. One of them was simple. He scheduled 30 minutes of silence into every day. That single decision doubled his productivity and cut his stress in half. The truth is, silence isn't just about sound, it's about space. Mental, emotional, spiritual. It's the space where ideas are born, where intuition speaks, where confidence grows. When you fill every gap with noise, you suffocate your potential. When you reclaim those gaps, you create room for greatness. Look at nature. The ocean's surface roars, but the depths are silent. That's where the power lies. In stillness. The same is true for you. The louder your surroundings become, the more still you must be. Because stillness isn't the absence of movement, it's controlled energy. It's the pause before precision. Most people confuse silence with passivity. They think that being quiet means being weak. But silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing everything deliberately. It means acting from awareness, not impulse. It means mastering timing, knowing when to speak, when to act, when to wait. And timing, as every warrior knows, is everything. You see it in martial arts. The master doesn't move first. He waits, observes, breathes. Then, in a single silent motion, he strikes with precision. Power without noise, action without hesitation. That is stillness in motion, and that is what makes him unbeatable. The same principle applies in conversation, in conflict, in creation. You don't have to respond instantly. You don't have to prove yourself. When you can hold silence comfortably, you become unpredictable. No one can read you, no one can control you. You rise above the chaos while others exhaust themselves trying to fill the void you command. Silence is also connection. When you can sit with someone without the need to talk, you reach a depth that words can't touch. The greatest relationships, romantic, professional, or spiritual, are built not through endless talking, but through shared stillness. Because silence says what words cannot: trust, understanding, peace. But perhaps the most important power of silence is healing. The world has made you restless, anxious, overstimulated. You're constantly absorbing information, opinions, noise. It's no wonder you feel tired, disconnected, burned out. Silence is the antidote. It's the reset button your nervous system has been begging for. Try this experiment tonight. 20 minutes before bed, turn everything off. Your phone, your lights, even your thoughts. Sit in darkness and breathe. Let your mind wander. Don't try to control it. After a few minutes, the storm will settle. You'll feel your heartbeat slow. That's your body remembering what peace feels like. Do it for a week and you'll notice you sleep deeper. Do it for a month and you'll notice something else. Life feels clearer. The truth is, every man needs silence. Without it, you become reactive, fragmented, lost. With it, you become focused, grounded, and impossible to shake. Silence is the training ground for self-mastery. It's where you learn to respond instead of react, to create instead of consume, to lead instead of follow. When you stop fearing silence, you start wielding it. You start walking into rooms with calm instead of chaos. You start speaking less, but saying more. You start attracting respect, not demanding it. You begin to rule not through dominance, but through presence. And when you understand that, everything changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop seeking attention. You start living from a deeper center. The quiet confidence that doesn't need to be heard to be felt. Remember this: the loudest man in the room is rarely the strongest. The strongest man doesn't need to speak to prove power. His silence speaks for him, because silence is not emptiness. It's fullness under control. It's power restrained. It's the space between the notes that makes the music beautiful. So the next time you feel pressure to react, pause. The next time you're tempted to fill the air with words, wait. The next time you face uncertainty, sit in it. Listen. The answers are already there. Waiting beneath the noise. In a world that's always shouting, be the one who whispers. Better yet, be the one who says nothing and still commands attention, because when you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you master everything. If you've made it this far, that means you're not like most people. You're not afraid of depth, of stillness, of truth. So subscribe to the channel, not because I'm asking, but because this is your place, the place where people like you come to grow stronger, calmer, and more focused. Every video here is a weapon for your mind, a reminder that power doesn't come from volume, but from vibration, the kind that starts in silence and echoes for a lifetime. The world will keep screaming, let it. You don't need to compete with its noise, because real power doesn't chase attention, it creates gravity. And silence, real, deliberate silence, is the heaviest force of all. So, remember this the next time you feel lost, overwhelmed, or unheard. You don't need to speak louder, you need to be quieter, because silence isn't the end of sound, it's the beginning of strength. And in that strength you'll find your peace, your power, and your purpose.